Welcome to the B Shifter podcast. John Vance here, live recorded from the Alan B. Bernalillo Command Training Center in Phoenix, Arizona. Joining me, Josh Bloom. Josh is in Cincinnati right now. And, it's one of those weather things. You were supposed to be here, but we're going to get together this way because we have some great stuff to share with everybody today. Before we get going, this is going to be a busy 2024. We have a lot of classes posted right now at bshifter.com. Just go to the events section and you can find either a workshop or a train the trainer class that's for you. Classes are filling up fast. So if you're thinking about taking either one of our workshops or you need to register people for a train the trainer class, do that sooner than later because we're going to continue to fill these classes up very, very quickly. The other thing that we want to mention is early bird pricing still in effect for the Hazard Zone Conference. You can go to hazardzonebc.com to get all the details so far. This is going to be a week-long event. We have a lot of speakers that are going to be in the main portion of the conference. But Josh, we also have a couple pre-conference items going on. What exactly are we doing pre-conference this year at the Hazard Zone Conference?
Yeah, so the conference is actually the 31st through the 4th. So the 31st, 1st, and 2nd, we're offering CERT labs. And we're just kind of bringing that back. We used to do that at FDIC, and it went pretty well. So it's just an option for somebody to, come get certified if they're not. And with that said, the deal is you pay to come to the conference and the CERT lab, and you're getting a $385 value, the online component. So if you're just looking to figure out what Blue Card's all about, you pay to come to the conference, you get a free online account, and you could get checked off. So that information is at the website there that's posted. And then on the Tuesday and Wednesday, the 1st and 2nd of October before the conference, we're doing a Mayday workshop, limited to 40 seats. I know that's starting to fill up. People are signing up for that. So really there's a couple options of pre-conference stuff that you could do. And then we got a full roster of instructors for and presenters for the actual conference, 26 different classes over the 2 days, Thursday and Friday, with 4 general sessions that obviously everybody could see. So you got to pick and choose, what you would want to see or what you want to do, whatever. And we're going to be posting real soon that complete lineup. So you can see some of the folks that are going to be there at the registration page, but we'll have everybody, the complete lineup of presenters posted probably here in the next couple of weeks. And with that said, the only other thing is when you go to the website there, we've been getting a bunch of calls about the hotel. So we have the hotel room block at the Hilton and the Marriott that's right there at the conference center, the 2nd through the 5th. We do not have a hotel block for the Mayday workshop or the CERT lab. However, the Delta Marriott Hotel does have rooms before that. It's just not in our room block. So you'd have to make 2 different reservations, but they're giving you the same price, which is, unbelievable to any other conference you go to. I think it's $129 is the conference, price per room per night. So good value, I think.
Heck of a deal. Yeah, I'm chuckling over here because you and I are going to a major conference in the United States this year, and we could not believe the room prices. As a matter of fact, we made alternative plans because it was going to be like $15,000 for hotels for the Blue Card folks. So what we have in Cincinnati, in Sheridanville, is such a great deal because the value of the education that you get is very good. And then also the amenities are very inexpensive when it comes to the room. There's good meals around. On Thursday night, we're going to continue to have our social across the street at Third Eye Brewing. So just a lot of good value, a lot of great networking at the Hazard Zone Conference this year.
Absolutely.
All right, so today we have audio. We haven't done audio for a while. We have 3 different clips that we're going to be bringing people today from 3 different Blue Card departments. The first one is Hamilton County, Ohio. What do you know about this particular incident?
Yeah. So before we jump into that incident, John, I want to just put people in a mindset as they listen to these, thinking about two things really: system and process. So we're going to listen to audio from three different fire departments that are from three totally different parts of the country that operate, organizationally differently. Because Harrison, the first one we're going to listen to, is in Hamilton County, Ohio, Suburban Fire Department, and when they get a fire, you're going to get 7 fire departments going there to build out, their response, command function 1 deployment, and then we're going to listen to Las Vegas, and they run with 2 or 3 other departments, but depending on where the fire is, likely only 2 themselves and 1 other, depending on what border it's on. So that's a little different, and then it's different than the first one I described. And then Bernalillo County, New Mexico, they're a giant, county system. I think it's the largest county actually in New Mexico. So their deployment is, a little bit different. But when we listen to the audio, you can't tell any difference between, their size up, follow up report, how they assign companies, what they do with people, because they're all using the same system, and they just go through a little bit of a different process of how they actually deploy because of their deployment, because of what their front end deployment maybe actually looks like. So as you listen to these, it's like, wow, these are 3 different fire departments, all of them working fires, all of them with some different factors. But the fact is that they set them up and managed the incident very well throughout the incident, evaluating how the whole thing went A to Z, not just the final outcome. I mean, we can all high five at the end of every fire and say, well, we didn't hurt or kill anybody, and that's a high five. But, in these cases, it's like we're evaluating every single component, right? And that's how we all get better, which comes back to, again, the system. And in order to really have a system, you have to have, some sort of an SOG, and then you train on that SOG, and then you reinforce good behavior and try to correct, bad behavior. So I just want to throw that out there before we start listening to them. So the Harrison incident, Suburban Fire Department called to a working fire. They are out on the edge of the county, so they don't have a ton of resources going to get right on top of them really quick. Actually, on the audio, you might even hear it. A company keys up and asks, do you want our engine, or do you want, in our area we call them tankers because we don't fly airplanes here, but they asked that question because it was in the CAD. It wasn't real clear, I guess, on which unit was dispatched. But with that said, when we talk about initial radio report, follow-up reports, assigning companies, defining and communicating really well critical factors, command transfers, they all sound similar. So with that said, I think we can listen to it, John.
57s are on the scene on the Alpha side. Got a small double-wide pre-manufactured mobile home. We've got light smoke showing from the front door. We do not have a hydrant. We stretch the line for primary search and fire control. Out conducting 360. We'll be in the offensive strategy, and we'll have command of 5.
That's clear. 57's on scene, light smoke showing from Alpha side, no hydrant, conducting 360 in offensive strategy, 2152. County to command.
County got traffic for command of 5.
New Trenton water tanker is unavailable. Would you like us to backfill?
County, stand by on the backfill.
That's clear.
Command all companies, 360 is complete. You have smoke showing at the front door. We're stretching the line now. All occupants are out of the building and accounted for. We can remain offensive. We do have 1 patient on the scene with burns to the hands.
That's clear. It's a 56. We're going to take the hydrant. 394 gallons ball.
Here's okay. Medic 36 level 1. Level 1. I'm on the seat. Clear light smoke showing. We got 1 victim. Remaining the offensive strategy. I'll have command. No one copy. You're taking command. Yeah, we do have 1 victim with burns to the hand on the front porch. You can move the medic unit forward. Clear. Medic 56, you copy.
Medic 56 is clear. We're moving to the front.
Command, we 457.
457, go ahead.
Chief, fire is out, no extension. All I need at this point is just ventilation. We've got a primary all clear throughout the structure.
Your incident has been updated.
Reporting primary all clear, no extension. You're reporting fire out as well.
Yeah, so, the initial radio report, solid, follow-up report, really good. Comes back and says, that they have, well, he said they have an all clear of the building because they were communicating with somebody that was in the front yard that said, hey, everybody's out. Described further to them, face to face, that it was, not a big fire. They weren't seeing conditions that said it was a big fire. Communicated like all the critical factors, right? The whole patient, hands are burnt on the alpha side. That painted a picture for everybody. So, that medic unit that's pulling up, knows that they're going to have a patient. And then in this case, really just 2 units were there. So the chief pulls up and he's right there, like in their face, like they're 40 feet apart, right? And didn't go through like a big command transfer thing of what was going on, because the only thing that had really happened is the size up follow up report. They were getting ready to make entry, so the chief on this incident, kind of gave the information that he knew to command, and then command acknowledged and said, clear, you are going to be, command. So it's just a good example of following the process and using the system. And it wasn't a big fire. It wasn't a bunch of people trapped. It wasn't none of that. So it comes back to, you exercise that system on all of the incidents, all of the time, no matter what it is, right? I mean, you go through and you evaluate the critical factors and you give a standard size up and you do a follow-up report evaluating what's going on all the way around the building. And then once we know what those factors are, then we're going to deploy. So that's this one.
Great audio. All right. Next, we're going to Vegas. The Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Department had this incident a couple of months ago, and this ends up being a fire with a victim. What can you tell us about this incident, Josh?
So this incident, it was actually in Clark County, but Las Vegas Engine got there first. They were, I think, out, returning from another run, whatever. But either way, those fire departments work together every day. They use the same system. And when those companies are on the same page, that makes a big difference. So in this case, it's a multi-family building. Comes out as a working fire. I think dispatch even tells them that maybe like a fire in the closet. So really from that point, we'll listen to the audio, but some of the things you hear on there going back to command function 1 deployment. What did they send initially, and then once it's confirmed, you'll hear them M-level building fire, and then it comes back multifamily, and I think they upgrade it to like an H-level building fire, so they start sending more resources, to the incident. So we'll just listen to it and initial radio report and follow-up report, and they end up pulling somebody out of this unit, and we'll talk about that and what that process was, and what one of the people who were involved. The first new company and one of the people who were involved in bringing that patient out, and like what went through their mind.
14 Battalion 3 Engine A, Engine 27, Battalion 1, Rescue 33, responding to a building fire, level M, 2470 Old Forge Lane, District 2627, Phantom 21. We have reports of a bedroom on fire, started in the closet, all responding units, Zone 3, TAC 7.
Dispatch Engine 4.
Engine 4?
Just confirming that no command statement was given at this time. Command Engine 4 is on scene of a medium 2-story apartment. We got a working fire, 2nd floor. Engine 4 is going to be doing transitional water to the fire control primary search in the office of strategy. All units level 1. This will be Old Forge Command. All units stage out on Eastern.
Dispatch copy, Old Forge Command, working fire.
Engine 4. Engine 14 is right behind you.
Have your engineer share water with Engine 4. Some pull the second line to this alpha side, which is where Engine 4 is doing a transitional attack. I'm going to have you guys pull a line off of your rig to the west side for fire control and primary search. We're going to make entry on the east side.
33 staged.
33, bring your crew on deck, front of engine 4. Fire dispatcher will come out with follow-up.
Old Forge Command, go ahead.
360 is complete. Confirm fire on the second floor. We're going to remain offensive. Engine 4 is making entry. What I'm going to call the alpha side, which is going to be the east side.
Fire dispatch, Battalion 1 on scene.
Copy, Battalion 1.
Command from Battalion 1.
Stand by for a second, Battalion. Battalion 1, go for command.
I copy. You pulled lines to the second story for working fire in that apartment. You're designated the east side to be alpha, and you've assigned engine 33 to on deck. If that's correct, give me a cannon part and I'll take it from here.
That's correct, Chief. We have got engine 33 coming on deck. We did it to the second floor. We have smoke to the ground. Medium heat. I need a crew to check extension on either side of this apartment.
Okay, Battalion 1 copies. Made it to the second story. Medium heat. Smoke to the ground. You need crews to check for extension on each side. Fire dispatch, Battalion 1.
Battalion 1.
Battalion 1 will be assuming Valley Forge, Old Forge Command. Command will be located inside of Battalion 1, street side. We'll remain on offensive strategy. All units to stage level 1. Engine 14 from command.
Go for engine 14.
14, I need you to pull an additional line to the second story. Check for the extension on the Delta 1 exposure.
On the ground, we are interior unit 103 with a product plane. Trying to leave position to the Delta exposure and check for extension now.
Copy Delta exposure. And repositioning. We have primary all clear on 103. Copy. Truck 8, go ahead and spot to your best advantage. Let me know where you're going to end up spotting it. Looks like we're going to need you to come around from the east. And let's go ahead and bring a fan to the second story, please.
Truck 8 copies. Do we have access from the east, or are we going to need to pull in from eastern?
Yeah, the pre-plan's not coming up for me, so we're going to have to do some intel on that if you could give me an idea.
Truck 8, this is a one-way in, one-way out.
From EMS 33, I can take a look at that east side if you want.
Engine 8 by. Need you to pull an additional line to the second story, Bravo 1 exposure, check for extension, give me a primary search.
Engine 8 copy, stretch of the line, additional line to the Bravo 1 exposure, get a primary.
Delta exposure, go.
Delta exposure, go ahead.
I have engine 33 with me. We're going to utilize their manpower. Heavy floor 6, interior, light smoke, no heat, except on the firewall that's to the alpha side.
Copy firewall on the alpha side. You have engine 33 with you. Light smoke, no heat. Checking for extension.
Command, safety.
Safety from command, go ahead.
Occupants reporting one of his two dogs is still inside. It's a small bulldog type.
Copy, small bulldog.
Safety occupant also says that there's a 40-year-old male that's still inside.
Copy, 40-year-old male still inside. Engine 4 from command.
Engine 4.
Engine 4 safety is reporting that there's still a 40-year-old male that's inside the occupancy. Can we confirm that? And also there's apparently a dog inside as well.
This is on first floor. Only animal controller, the owner, come to the front door. Also, can you get a location of where that 40-year-old male stays? We have a primary all clear.
Copy and confirming the apartment number that you're in. And I copy your primary all clear.
103.
Copy 103.
Command, Delta exposure.
Delta exposure from command, go ahead.
Primary all clear. We evacuated one occupant. Still checking for extension in attic space.
Exposure, I copy you. Evacuated one occupant. Confirming, is that the 40-year-old that we have missing?
04. Copy 3, AGL, female, adult.
Copy apartment 104.
Command from Engine 4, priority traffic.
Engine 4, go with your priority traffic.
One victim found. We're going to be bringing up the east side. We'll need EMS and ES on the alpha side, which is the east side.
Engine 4, I copy you've located one victim. You'll be coming out the east side. Rescue 233 from command.
233, bye.
233, I need to bring up your gurney. I'll start an AMR unit, but you're going to be assigned to med. We have a fire victim.
All right, so, really good initial radio report, good follow-up report, and you hear some communications about describing further Alpha and Charlie side and maybe even like what the Bravo side is. And just thinking about it, we talk about all the time in our program, one of the critical factors when you're in one of these complexes that looks like a train wreck, like how do you really describe that and what is Alpha? And the address side is actually the courtyard side, but I'm parked on the Charlie side and all of that. So, they were cleaning all of that up. And then when they came back and said where Engine 4 was parked was, the Alpha side of the building, everybody sees where Engine 4's at. So that cleans, that up. So good initial radio report, good follow-up report, put out some good information. They had visible fire, so they were able to knock down, the visible fire from outside before they make entry. Gets one company assigned to pull an additional hand line and to make sure that they had a sustained water supply. And then, we went through the standard command transfer piece. So the battalion gets there, confirms, the assignments that they had heard, asked for a can report, got a can report of exactly what was going on. And now, you got fire companies inside. They're making their way to the second floor. And in their report, they said, they gave the conditions, right? So we got smoke to the floor, mild heat. Command already had knew at that point that they had knocked down, visible fire. So they're seeing and monitoring, conditions on the outside and attaching that to their bigger incident action plan piece of what's the company's inside saying, and does that align? So in this case, everything's aligning, making sense. They get water on the fire, and they're making good progress. So in the needs report from Engine 4, they said, hey, we got to get somebody to the Bravo and the Delta exposure to check for extension. Fire was on the second floor. The next place that it's going out of the second floor in a 2-story building is, into that attic space, and then it's going to start traveling horizontally, right? And we know what that looks like as far as a critical factor when fire starts to travel into vents and so on and get into attic spaces. When it can't go up anymore, it starts traveling very quickly horizontally. So that was good. That was a need from the inside. Just communicating out, hey, we better get those spaces checked. So the company that was in the Delta 1 exposure, when they were called and asked for a can report, they told command, hey, we've evacuated, one patient, which was, it wasn't the rescue, it was just bringing somebody out. But by then they'd had reports that somebody was still missing. So in this case, multi-unit complexes, what unit were they really in? So that company reported, we're in apartment 104. We've evacuated that patient, and we're continuing to, check for extension. And command communicates, okay, well, we still have a dog missing per safety who was face to face with, a bystander that was outside or somebody who lived there, and we are missing one other person that's believed to be inside that apartment. So when command calls Engine 4 and says, hey, we're still missing somebody, Engine 4 comes back and says, we have a primary all clear of this building. So in this case, indeed, they had a primary all clear. So we talk so much about primary all clear and what does that really mean? And we hear it every single day somewhere, or we see it every day somewhere about close before you doze, stay behind doors. We all know what that looks like behind doors. Well, the primary all clear, they hadn't opened doors. So when they had that report, hey, you're missing somebody still, they found the dog right away, and the dog's brought outside, and they communicate we need the owner or dog warden or whatever. And then the next transmission is priority traffic on the second floor from engine 4. So that priority traffic got the attention of the IC, but the IC knew what the transmission was going to be because, the fire was getting better. Conditions were dictating that everything was looking, much better. Fire was at least knocked down. So when the priority traffic piece came out, they were looking for somebody. This is probably going to be a victim piece. So that also means something to those other crews that are there. So engine 4 priority traffic, go ahead, engine 4 with your priority traffic. We got a victim. We're bringing them out. Going to need EMS. So, that just triggers everybody else on the outside. Hey, shut up and listen to what's going on. This is a very important communication. And, then from that point forward, command got a rescue unit to move forward to do patient care. And we stopped it. But, it's another example of the system, the system at work and people using it. So 2 different fire departments working together at a single incident with 1 incident action plan, standardized communication, working through and solving the tasks. Everybody's accounted for. I mean, it all goes together. But that only happens. It doesn't happen by accident, right? It only happens because they use the system all the time, just like the first audio we listened to. They use the system all the time, whether it's a fire alarm drop, a vehicle fire, a auto accident, a cornfield on fire in Ohio. It don't matter. They're going to use the same system to size up, communicate, evaluate the factors, develop an incident action plan, talk about risk management, deploy companies, review, evaluate, revise, continue to build the system as necessary. So these are both great. They set it up on the front end really well, and in both these cases they solved the problem, relatively quickly, so it didn't get expanded.
I thought the IC did a really nice job too, because I think at first he just wanted to clarify that the victim that was evacuated wasn't the same as the victim that was missing. And the engine company confirmed that by saying, no, this was a female victim, and they gave the apartment number. So everyone knew there was still somebody else they were looking for. Mm-hmm. One that was evacuated, one that was actually a part of a physical rescue. And I like the way they did that. Also on the command transfer, again, they know the communication process, and there wasn't a lot of angst. Command was calling Engine 4, who was in command at the time. He wasn't quite ready to give him the command transfer yet, so he just gave him a standby. And because they worked together so much, they practiced the system, there was no angst behind that. The BC was able to stand by until that command transfer was ready, just gave it another 30 seconds. Then Engine 4 let the IC know, or the BC coming in, who was going to take over command. Okay, I'm ready for the command transfer now. Here's the info. So just really great communication flow on this, and it seemed very natural.
John, we talk about it all the time, that everybody on the response and in the system has to understand and know the capabilities and limitations of that mobile IC that is there, that is really working at all 3 levels, right? Size up, follow up report, assign a few companies. They thought about the strategy, they did all that. So it's so important that that everybody in the response understands, that position, right? It's not the greatest position to communicate. It's not the greatest position to hear, but we know that, the company officer being with their company is the best place for them. That's why they're called the company officer. And that's why that turned out the way that it did. That, that company officer, very calmly said, hey, just give me a second here, because whatever he was doing, helping stretch hose, push a line up the steps, get they're flowing, whatever. It doesn't matter. But command wasn't snappy about it. There was no, I'm here and I'm in charge. There was none of that. It's like, okay, everything's fine because we have a system.
And it let everyone else on the fire ground know, hey, we're going to stand by until this command transfer happens, and then we can go level 1 and we'll get our assignments.
Yeah. And something I just want to point out on this one, right? They sent, I don't know, there's 7, 8, 9, 10 companies on this or more. And I just want to point back out, they really only used like 4 or 5 of them to solve the problem, right? And that just goes back to we deploy companies to solve and address the critical factors that we identify, not 11 companies went there, and they're all going to just stack up on the stairs going to the second floor because that's where everybody wants to get to. So that's where it just comes back to that, 3 deep deployment, everybody understanding the system, everybody listening to the radio. And in the system, right, it's like if you're fifth due to that fire and I'm listening to that radio, there's no fun left. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's over. The work's over, right? So just let it be.
All right, where are we going to next? What's our last stop for today?
So this one is it's relatively recent. It's from Bernalillo County. I think I'm saying that right. It's in New Mexico, large county fire department, and this is a defensive fire. So putting all 3 of these together, the Harrison fire, that's a 1-story single family. That they solved pretty quickly, though there was a victim that had burns. They were outside the building. The Las Vegas fire, that 2-story multifamily with ends up being a report of people trapped. They pull a dog out. They end up evacuating some other people. Bigger complex. And then this one is a single family residence that's defensive. So like, how does it sound? And then we can talk about all 3 of them and like how they all really line up after we listen to this one.
6, Town 8, Engine Rescue 33, Engine Rescue 32, Rescue 34, DFMA, Truck 3, you guys are responding to 2402 Salvador Road Southwest, 2402 Salvador Road Southwest. This could be for an echo response for a structure fire, Firebox 320145. All traffic for this incident on South Tac 1, South Tac 1.
DFMA on South Tac. Engine 32 Fire Control.
Engine 32.
Engine 32 is arriving on scene. I have a small 2-story residence with defensive fire conditions. Engine 32 is going to be setting up for defensive fire and the defensive strategy. Continue the alarm. Engine 32 will have command.
Engine 32, small 2-story defensive fire. Continuing the defensive fire destination. Defensive strategy. Continue alarm. Engine 32 is in command.
Command Fire Control.
Command.
36 has been completed. No changes to our IAP. Remains appears to be 1 story with a lock. Defensive fire conditions. I do have an exposure to the Charlie side. We are setting up a horizontal standpipe to the Delta side, the pack line to the Alpha and Bravo side. Continue the alarm. Accountability be Engine 32 on Alpha.
I need you to, you have the 1-story with the low, with the defensive fire area close to the county, setting up the Delta side, tech line as well on the Alpha side, Engine 32 will be on the Alpha side.
Command incoming units. We have a hydrant at Engine 32. We'll be tagging our own water supply.
Battalion 8 on scene. Battalion 8 to command.
Command, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I understand that you're on scene of a single-story residential structure, fully involved defensive operations. You guys are setting up large diameter hose lines with an exposure on the Charlie side. Rescue 32, Engine 32 are on defensive operations. Is this correct? Give me a can.
That is correct, sir. We do have defensive fire conditions. I have an exposure to the Charlie side. I currently have Engine 32 on an inch and 3/4 to the Alpha Bravo corner. Rescue 32 set up a horizontal standpipe to the Charlie Delta corner. We're attempting to tag our own water supply at this time. My only needs is crew.
Battalion 8 is correct. You have an inch and 3/4. We're setting up a horizontal to the Charlie Delta side. You guys need manpower. I'll take it from out here. Battalion 8 to fire control.
Battalion 8.
I'll be assuming Salvador command. We're going to be in the defensive strategy. Continue resources, code 3.
And Salvador command at 2039.
Engine 33, level 1. Yeah, this is Salvador.
Rescue 33, level 1 speaking.
Engine 30. Rescue 33.
Command Engine 33. I need you to park the unit out of the way. Help establish water supply to Engine 32 and set up support defensive operations.
this is just a residential building, but it's defensive fire. So this one really, I paid close attention to this because we don't go to very many defensive fires, right? I mean, they don't start out defensive anyway, right? So on this one, it was powerful to me that it shows that they really use the system, because that first do mobile IC got the 3 Ds. I'm on the scene of defensive fire conditions. We're going to be operating defensively, setting up for defensive operations, so the action, and then we're going to be in the defensive strategy. And it's like, the guy nailed it, right? So painted a really good picture. And we want that coming out 3 times, because like, okay, everybody slow down, because now we're setting up for defensive operations. It looks different, right? The deployment's going to look different. So good initial radio report, a good follow-up report, assigned, the companies that he had working right there with him. And then, the battalion gets there relatively quickly, and they do a command transfer. The battalion communicates what they had heard. The mobile IC at that point comes back and just gives them some more clarification of where companies are, which is really an accountability piece. So, this company's in this location, that company's in that location, and what I need is additional resources to continue to work through and solve the problem that they'd identified. And command, verifies all of those things, acknowledges all of those things, goes back to dispatch that they're now command. And from that point, the companies were coming in, and command was just assigning the companies based off the needs that the mobile IC had addressed during the command transfer. So 3 totally different fires and 3 totally different fire departments, totally different critical factors, and it's all the system at work. And all 3 of these organizations clearly practice the system, right? This isn't one and done. They didn't go to some class for 4 hours. They didn't get online for 4 hours. They didn't listen to some lecture at some conference. This is from 3 organizations who train and certify their people in a system that they have SOPs and SOGs for, and that they communicate how did the incident actually go, and again, reinforce good behavior and correct bad behavior. And it's from A to Z, from the initial radio report to the point where they leave. And that's what they're talking about and evaluating. It's not, that building burnt down, but nobody got hurt, so great job. And it's like, well, no, let's talk about, how did the thing get set up? Well, what did the radio traffic sound like? What can we do better? Which is the most important thing, right? Like, what can we really do better? The fire service has to stop looking at and measuring success off the final outcome. I mean, we should be looking at every little piece and every little thing that we do, not just, well, how did it turn out? Because how it turned out is oftentimes you just got away with it, or you just made it work, right? So, yeah, this is
yeah, the old no one got hurt. We got the fire eventually went out. Well, yeah, you got to look at what really happens inside of those operations, and I think these 3 are really good examples of, like you said, A to Z, making sure that they're competent in their command functions. The other thing is, Blue Card in this command system is scalable. You had 3 different, different department profiles here. You had one that was kind of the outlying area of a suburban area. You had one huge county where they have large travel distances. And then Vegas, which is really more of an urban area where companies are on top of each other. So that command function number 1 works different for all 3 of these departments, yet they all made it work very well.
Absolutely.
All right, Josh, you have anything else for us before we go today?
We're always looking for audio. So, please share your audio with us. And we have never, and we will never put anybody on blast. We will share all the positives and reinforce good behavior, just like we do on all of this. So if you have audio, send it over to us. Our emails are always in the show notes. So we're always looking for audio, and we love putting agencies out there, real fire departments going to real fires, and highlighting your organization. So, yeah, share your audio.
And thanks to these 3 agencies for sharing their audio with us. As Josh said, you can contact us in the show notes. And if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe, whatever platform you're listening or watching this on. Until next time, thanks so much for listening and watching Bee Shifter.